Hello, Risa here. I will be talking about Guy Denning today. So yeah, let's get into it. So a little bit about his background. Guy Denning was born in North Somerset in 1965. Since childhood, he had been obsessed with visual art and started painting in oils at 11 after receiving a set of old paints from a relative that had grown bored with them. Through the 1980s, he was repeatedly unsuccessful in his applications to study painting at degree level, but continued creating and learning the technical aspects of oil painting from more experienced painters that he knew from Somerset, his hometown. He continued to study art history and received his degree from the Open University. Denning had various jobs from the age of 20. He had so many jobs because he had to support his family, but he still continued to paint. Since he grew up in a Somerset village outside Bristol, he saw the local rural economy crumble through the 1980s. This sparked his interest in responding to society in a political narrative. With his discovery in the 1980s of rock and punk bands, he associated himself with the second wave of punk and saw the light in terms of street art. Following the stencil text aesthetic and political anarchists, the band Crass, and the photo montage vision of the artist G, Denning started prepping West Country towns with his particular paste-up style and sometimes surreal political messaging. Hip-hop was very prominent in the US, and US style inspired the general idea of graffiti and defined it. Denning would frequently challenge what seemed to him then as a style with little political content. In his college applications, he was told that he needed to move away from his overly figurative style and to be more subtle regarding how he confronted political subject matters. He was too literal, they said, too ferocious. His crudely photocopied paste-ups were declared too graphic. The subject matter was inappropriate for fine art to them. In that time, photocopy was not considered a legitimate art printing method. Instead of listening to them, he refined his techniques. Instead of giving up, he learned to overcome and become resilient, disciplined, and focused. Guy Denning had no choice but to teach himself how to paint. So do mediums. Denning had an expressive but unorthodox affinity with mixing media and techniques together. Stencils, spray cans, brushwork, dripping paint, crayons, gold leaf, marker pens, pastels, you name it, he probably mixed them together. Some pieces drawn on mid-tone paper, newsprint, or torn packaging that gives them an expressive economy. The midtones are already there, which means he can focus on his power of simple draughtsmanship, all the more in the contrast of, and highlights by adding various blacks and whites. And those are three pictures on the screen to show you his pasting, his painting, and charcoal. So now on to his exhibitions. He was invited to work on various community urban art projects to develop a distinctive style that builds images from drawing and text. In 2011, he presented Inferno, which I have here to show today. Inferno was the first part of his three-part series. I can only find two, though, of oil paintings on Dante's Commedia in Bologna. That was said correctly. This was his first expedition in Italy, and the complete expedition completely sold out day one. In 2011, he presented the second part of his series in New York City for the expedition Purgatorio. I don't have that. I couldn't find any pictures. Purgatorio series act as a framework for his own personal interpretations of the world following 9/11, which you can see a little picture on the corner of. I found that. Denning finds perpetual relevance in Dante's work, where the specifics of names, situation, and places are easily adapted to modern world as if time moves on. But the problems of humanity remains essentially the same. The events of September 11 and the emotional toll on the U.S. identity was a critical element to this body of work. This exposition was held in a pop-up location just blocks from Ground Zero and on the 10th anniversary of the 9/11 attacks. So this one is Inferno. The drawing on the left is titled Amor cha nello amato amor perdona. It's an oil painting on canvas on a 76 by 61 centimeter canvas. And the one on the right is simply titled Hell. It's chalk on paper, and it's 21 by 21 centimeters. So now on to political theme. Guy Denning obviously likes to use politics and political themes in his artworks. But there isn't much an artist can do except add to the shouts for change. Guy Denning says the fossil fuel industry is still leading the charge for the impending destruction of our living environment. Add to this, industrialized farming is carving through carbon capturing forests to produce meat, where a plant-based diet would ensure more responsible usage of the resources. And our governments continue to procrastinate while the earth warms. Denning has been writing on the streets since the 1980s, and the respectable and responsible model citizens among us have always declared it as vandalism. Here's a little thing we're going to talk about right now. The real act of vandalism, Denning says, is being inflicted on the planet, our living environment. It's being done in the name of the free market. We are continually being told that there are more efficient ways for us to live, but the free market has failed us, according to Denning. He says we need a new model, and the execution of that change can only be made at the governmental level. We are told that we need to recycle more plastic, but nobody legislates against excessive packaging to stop the problem. We are told that we need fewer car journeys, but nobody legislates for free public transport for all. We are told to save energy, but nobody legislates for free programs of domestic insulation and greenhouse production. We are told we need to build a green economy, but nobody legislates the affordable tools to do so. Big businesses continue to financially clean up while it ecologically vandalizes. So, as a model citizen with a free market, Denning gives us free posters, and that's what these are, to demand for change, because the demand for change isn't too late. He says, society gets the vandals it deserves. The next big political piece of work that he has done is Tue Politique. This is a drawing based with charcoal pastels and graphite and water. The dimensions are 19.7 by 25.6 inches. And lastly, we will be talking about All Watched Over by Machines of Love and Grace. In these sets of works, he used angels to send his message. This is his most recent compile of works that I found on the internet. Some people like Denning's angels drawings, and some people hate them. Denning says it is not surprising by this response. In fact, it's generally the response to most of his artworks, he says. He finds it interesting that a few people seem to get so angry on angels being the subject matter. The main objection seems to revolve around the idea that a serious artist wouldn't choose angels as a subject matter, that it's just a bit too kitsch. Perhaps even it's just a visual metaphor. Anyone who really knows Denning and his works will also know that being told not to do something specific will just make him want to do it more, even if it's problematic. In Europe, the word angel comes from the Latin angelus, which literally means messenger. But the angelic origins goes back much further than ancient religions than the Arabic text. They performed all manners of functions, from the witness to the messenger to a divine soldier, but they all seem to wield a power beyond human capabilities and have connections to assorted entities. They have been, for those that consider them real, a manifestation of righteous power that would improve the spiritual or actually outlook of those that believe in them. They're a metaphor for the power of that people wished they actually could exercise in their earthbound lives. So the angels seem as appropriate metaphors for an artist whose work is considered to be political. He actually has 39 of these drawings, um, and 4 poems actually. You can look at his website that I'll link below for his poems if you'd like. He says that these drawings are a blend of reality and fantasy. That one is a mirror and the other is a reflection, but that they are also interchangeable, and that is what Denning's angels are for him. They are the aspirations and the actions. They are the watchers, the messengers, but the fighters and the saviors too. They are what we want to help make change, and what we want to be in making the change for ourselves. They have the authority of our ancestors. They are of a time and a world far older and wiser than us. The world we know, that our parents know, and their parents know, is disappearing, according to Denning. Denning believes we need to come together and prioritize our common humanity. We have to reject the flawed and arrogant directions that have driven our economic ideologies of chasing and progress judged by material measures at the expense of other more human, cultural, and social metrics. With this work, Denning is calling out to our metaphorical angels, be they priests or physicians or economists or bankers or bakers, to help us bring the changes humanity needs to negotiate the potential apocalyptic future we face. Because, like it or not, we face it together, despite our worst selfish natures. And yeah, that's all I have for you today, or tonight, depending on when you're watching this. So, peace out.